5 signs that your intuition is right about her, even without proof. There are moments when you have no evidence at all, no careless words, no drama, no clear betrayal that allows you to point and say, "There, that's it." Everything on the outside still looks normal, but inside you, something feels off, a strange feeling, subtle, not strong enough to draw conclusions, but persistent enough that it does not go away. You're not panicking. You're not irrationally jealous. You simply no longer feel as calm as you once did. And what bothers you the most is that you do not know how to explain it. Listen to me for a moment. Intuition does not shout. It whispers. It does not present evidence. It creates a feeling. And many men have ignored that feeling, simply because they could not prove anything. This video is not meant to accuse anyone. It is simply meant to point out 5 signs that your intuition is telling the truth about her, even when you cannot yet prove anything. The first sign lies in the thing most people overlook the most. Energy. She still texts you, still replies, still checks in, still sees you like before, still says the familiar thing she has always said. From the outside, nothing seems wrong. But if you're honest with yourself, you will notice that the feeling has changed, not completely cold, not disappearing, but empty. Conversations no longer make you feel connected. Hugs no longer make you feel as warm as before. You cannot point to a specific moment and say, "This is where it started," but you can clearly sense that you are talking to the same person, just not with the same energy. And this is where many people begin to doubt themselves. They think maybe they are too sensitive, maybe they are asking for too much. But listen carefully. People can maintain behavior for a very long time. They can text out of habit, meet because of routine, stay because it is convenient, but energy cannot do that. Because energy comes from genuine emotion. When emotions change, energy changes with them. No matter how hard someone tries to keep everything looking normal, you do not need anyone to admit it. You only need to pay attention to how you feel when you're with her. Do you still feel chosen, or do you feel like you're merely being kept around? Intuition rarely shows up as a clear thought. It appears as an emptiness that was not there before. And if you have felt that, chances are you're not imagining it. There are no major arguments happening, no harsh words, no explosive moment you can point to and say, "This is why everything went wrong." She is not doing anything obviously wrong. And precisely because of that, you feel even more unsettled. Because in your mind, you're constantly tired. Not tired from fighting, but tired from overthinking. You analyze every message, every meeting, every small change in the way she speaks to you. You wonder whether you are imagining things. You wonder whether you're asking for too much. And the question that repeats itself most often in your head is, where do I stand in this relationship? Pause here for a moment. Listen to me. Real love is not always easy. It has moments of tension, moments of difficulty. But there is one thing it always provides: clarity. You know who you are to the other person. You know where you stand. You do not have to guess. You do not have to speculate. Ambiguity only feels romantic in movies. In real life, when ambiguity drags on, it is no longer accidental. It is a signal that something is off. Not necessarily betrayal, not necessarily a third person, but a lack of alignment between emotion and action. And when a grown man has to live too long in that state of uncertainty, his intuition begins to speak up, not to accuse, but to warn. You may not recognize it immediately with your thoughts, but your body does. You no longer sleep as deeply as before. You wake up easily in the middle of the night, or you wake up in the morning feeling tired even though you have not exerted yourself. There are moments when your chest feels heavy, as if something is pressing down on it, something you cannot quite name. Your stomach feels tight, you lose your appetite, or you eat just to get it over with. And a sense of unease lingers somewhere throughout the day, not strong enough to cause panic, but persistent enough that it does not go away. The most uncomfortable part is, you cannot explain why. There is no specific event, nothing has happened, yet your body still reacts. Listen to me. This is not a weakness. This is not you overthinking, and this is body intelligence. The body has its own way of recognizing truth. It does not need evidence. It does not need logic. It simply reacts to what it perceives from the surrounding environment, from eye contact, from distance, from the presence of the person in front of you, before your mind even has time to analyze and find reasonable explanations to reassure itself. Many men have ignored these signals. They tell themselves, it's probably work, it's probably stress, I'm probably worrying too much. But the truth is, when you're with the right person, your body relaxes, you breathe more easily, you sleep more deeply. You do not have to tense yourself just to feel okay. And when the body begins to warn you in silence, it is usually because some part of you has already recognized something that your rational mind is not yet ready to face. There is a very familiar stage that many men go through, but few dare to look at directly. It is the moment when you begin to justify her behavior. Maybe she's tired. Work is probably stressing her out. Maybe I'm thinking too much. Forget it. These statements sound very reasonable, and precisely because they are reasonable, they become dangerous. Do you notice what is happening? You are doing the work that she does not need to do. You are filling in the gaps in someone else's behavior, just to make everything feel more acceptable in your own mind. You begin to explain for her, empathize for her, and even defend her against your own feelings. Not because you are foolish, not because you are weak, but because you are responsible. You do not want to draw the wrong conclusion. The problem is, the more you explain, the further you drift from your intuition. You stop asking, what am I feeling, and start asking, how can I make this feeling go away? And that is when intuition begins to be betrayed. Not by her, but by you. You choose a reason to avoid discomfort. You choose explanations so you do not have to face a truth that might hurt. Many men stay in relationships that are no longer right, not because they do not see the problem, but because they are too good at explaining it away. But intuition does not need you to defend it. It only needs you to listen. And every time you tell yourself, it's probably fine, while your body and emotions are saying otherwise, you are teaching yourself that your own perceptions are not trustworthy. That is not maturity. That is prolonged silence in the face of something you are not yet ready to confront. There is a truth that few people want to admit. It is not that you are unsure of what you are feeling. It is that you are afraid of the answer if you say it out loud. You are afraid that if one day you ask directly or simply admit to yourself that this intuition is right, nothing will ever go back to the way it was. Because if your intuition is correct, you will have to change. You will have to look at this relationship through a different lens. You will have to ask questions you have been avoiding all along. And change is always frightening, not because it hurts immediately, but because it forces you to let go of what feels familiar, even when that familiarity no longer makes you happy. Many men choose silence at this stage, not because they are weak, but because they understand that once the truth is named, they can no longer pretend they do not see it. Intuition is not scary. It is just a signal, a gentle reminder that something is no longer right. What is truly frightening is the truth behind it, because that truth is not only about her, it is about you, about what you will do next, about whether you have the courage to respect your own feelings. Many people are not afraid of losing a relationship. They are afraid of losing the reason to stay, and so they choose not to ask, not to speak, not to name it. But intuition does not disappear because you remain silent. It only grows heavier until you can no longer ignore it. I am not saying that you have to act immediately. I am not saying that you have to leave, and I am not saying that you must confront her or force yourself to do something beyond your capacity right now. Everyone has their own pace. Every story has its own context. Just remember one thing. Intuition does not need evidence in order to exist. It only needs the courage to be listened to. You do not have to be 100% certain to have the right to trust what you feel. You only need to be honest with yourself about how you actually feel when you're in this relationship. And the most painful thing, in truth, is not losing someone. The most painful moment is when you have seen the truth very clearly, yet you still pretend that you have not. Day after day, week after week. You continue to live in a state of limbo, no longer truly happy, yet not brave enough to leave. Intuition does not do this to you. Avoidance does. And when you begin to doubt, a very familiar behavior often appears, a behavior that is not loud, not obvious, but subtle enough to maintain control and keep you questioning yourself. In the next video, I will explain that clearly, not to make you afraid, but so that you no longer have to guess, just to understand, and from there, choose the path that is most right for you.